Yo, what's up? This is Eldritch Terror, and welcome back to my channel where I like to talk about all things spooky, scary, and have a little bit of fun. Today we're going to be talking about the 25th anniversary of Howl O Scream in Williamsburg. That's right, we're celebrating 25 years of fear over here in Virginia, and I believe now that this is going on simultaneously to Tampa's 25th anniversary, as at one point we were a year ahead of them, but during the COVID season they kinda caught up to us. But that's neither here nor there. Let's take a walk around Williamsburg and see what there is to check out. Using the map here, we're going to be going counterclockwise around the park, because that's the way us locals like to do it. And as you can see, we have 5 haunted houses this year, 2 of which being brand new, and the other 3 being revamps of ones we've seen previously. We've also got 6 scare zones to cover, and a few shows to touch on. We're also going to take a look at the merch, of course. There's just so much to unpack over here at Howl O Scream, Virginia. So without further ado, let's just jump into it, huh? Starting first with some theming that we'll see as soon as we enter the park. From the Reaper at the front gate to the ticket booth, everywhere you look, it's 25 years of fear. And skipping ahead to nightfall, this place turns into Ripper Row. Ripper Row. Don't wander the streets of Whitechapel after dark. You never know what you might run into. Murder, mayhem, and mistaken identities abound in the back alleys of this English town. Moving up and over to Ireland, we'll have our first house of the night, Killarney Diner. Killarney Diner. The Condemned. The diner has long been boarded up and abandoned, but something is skittering behind the walls. The glory days of the 50s are long past, and now the terror of the 20s awaits all who enter this decimated domicile. Enter at your own peril, for within these decrepit walls, the echoes of the past horrors are very much still alive, ready to claim the unsuspecting. Killarney Diner's been a fan favorite at the event ever since it first appeared. Busch Gardens really stepped up their game with the set design in this house. We really hadn't seen much like this before. Just about an hour north, we have King's Dominion's Halloween Haunt, and there they take a lot of pride in their set design. So it was really cool seeing Busch Gardens kind of step it up and take on that toe-to-toe. We've seen many iterations of Killarney Diner, this one being unfortunately the last, but they really knocked this thing out. I mean, it looks great in here. But heading out of Ireland and up to France, we have our next scare zone. And this one is the anniversary zone, the Bash. Howl O Scream characters from years past have been summoned to France for a sinister celebration marking 25 years of fears. The air is thick with dread, as these malevolent monsters converge for a night of ghastly revelry. Dare to join the horrifying reunion and face the legends of horror that refuse to rest. That's right, you can see monsters from all kinds of haunted houses and scare zones that we've seen at the event throughout the years, all meeting up and crowding to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Howl O Scream Williamsburg. Personal favorites from me include the werewolves and the freaking headless horseman, man. I haven't seen that guy at Howl O Scream since I was a baby. This is awesome. But moving up from France to New France, or as I like to call it, Canada, because they have all the maple leaf flags hanging around. By the way, like, why do we need Canada and Europe? This doesn't make any sense to me. Stalker Street. As darkness falls, New France, or Canada, transforms into a nightmarish realm where terror reigns supreme. The townsfolk barricade themselves inside their homes, while sinister scarecrows stalk the deserted streets, hunting for their next victim. Even if you dare and navigate the shadows, where every rustle and whisper could be your last. This scare zone was the meat market last year, which was Williamsburg's version of one that we've seen in Tampa before. And honestly, it's not really too different setup-wise. The costumes in the zone are really cool, and I like to see the work that they put in with that. But it's lacking just a little bit of the visceral gore that we saw last year in the meat market. But crossing the legendary Spider Bridge and over into Germany, we have the Scary Tail Road. Scary Tail Road. Once upon a time, these fairy tale fantasies lured you to sleep with picturesque places and harmonious heroes. Survival is slim as these childhood icons have been ripped from the pages and are now haunting your dreams. Scary Tales is a theme that Busch Gardens Williamsburg has played with for a really long time. In fact, I remember there used to be about an hour-long walk that would go from one Scary Tale house into a Scary Tale scare zone into another Scary Tale house a long time ago. And this is probably the coolest iteration of that scare zone we've seen since then. They jam it all up into this little corridor going from Invader to Dark Coaster. And I would just kind of like to see that spread out a little bit more into the game zone area. Also located in Germany, for the very first time, they have their own version of the opening Scarezones. We also see this over in Ireland every year, and I think it's really cool that they give people on both sides of the parks an opportunity to see it now. But speaking of Dark Coaster, that's a ride that I definitely recommend checking out while you're here for the event. There's 2 rides at Howl O Scream that you absolutely have to hit when you come here because the theming just nails right into everything else that's going on around us. Dark Coaster is the first of those, and located right behind Dark Coaster is going to be our first brand new haunted house this year, Clowntown. Clowntown. Having been deemed too terrifying for the park, the clowns of Busch Gardens Festa Italia Village were cast out. Now, shunned and vengeful, these twisted jesters forged their own dark dominion, Clowntown. In their eerie enclave, they are the rulers of all, and their whims dictate who will escape and who will remain trapped in their demented circus for all eternity. When I first heard about Clowntown, I figured they were just bringing Circus Sinistro back. I thought for sure it was going to replace the Bayou one over in Festa Italia, but I was wrong. This is something brand new, all new set designs, and honestly, it's kind of cool. I'm a little bit over clowns at the theme park haunts. I mean, every single one of them has a version of it, but at least this isn't Circus Sinistro again. We had that for what felt like a decade, and it got way too worn on me. But also located in Germany, we have our second new house of the year, Monster Manor. The Doctor is in. The autonomy of evil has been perfected, and the Doctor is bringing his dark arts into grotesque reality. Within his chilling laboratory, he weaves unspeakable horrors, transforming hapless victims into monstrous creations. Here, the boundaries of humanity are torn apart, and the screams of his abominations echo through the night. Dare to enter and face the horrid results of his twisted experiments. This house was really cool. It's replacing Nevermore over here in this area, and honestly, I'm not sure which one I like more. The vault that we had for the 20th anniversary was really fucking cool, and I kind of wish that they had brought that back, but this Monster Manor will probably stick around for a little while, so we'll see how it evolves through the years. Wait, right before we leave Germany, make sure you go check out Verbolten. This is another roller coaster that just slides right into the theming of Howl O Scream, and you absolutely have to check it out on your stay here. Pray that if it's dark enough in the night and the fog is thick enough on the floor, that final drop right there is just a spiritual experience. But making our way to Italy, we run into our next scare zone, the Gorgon Gardens. Gorgon Gardens. Don't look too closely. Staring straight into the soulless eyes of those serpent sisters leads to a venomous consequence and a stone-cold eternity. There's no escaping these sinister sirens once you've been added to their succulent garden of souls. We've seen a lot of scare zones take place in the dark side of the gardens, and anytime they find a way to make those statues fit in there and move around all creepy-like, it's a win for me. The makeup and the costumes in this area are really cool. I just wish that they could crank up the intensity a little bit here. Festa Italia this year has been transformed into New Orleans. The Fest Evil scare zone that sits right outside of here is pretty cool, and it makes you feel like you're walking the streets of New Orleans during Mardi Gras. Fest Evil. The spirits of the swamp spill into the streets, lured by the echoes of excitement during a marvelous Mardi Gras parade. Watch out, these frightening forces have been corrupted by an evil energy. But you go a little bit too deep into that parade and you find yourself walking upon the Deathwater Bayou. Deathwater Bayou. Morte. The call of the bayou grows darker and more insistent as devilish devotees venture deeper into the spectral swamp. What began as a lure into the murky depths has now become a chilling threshold between the world and the next. The flame of death burns ever brighter from above, and the voodoo queen's desperation for her final sinister sacrifice reaches a horrifying climax. This house was probably my favorite of the year. It is returning from last year, but it's returning with a big revamp to it, and I really like how they did all the set design for this house. It's really fucking cool. Our final house for the year is the Lost Mines inside of Pompeii. Lost Mines Bloodstone. The mining camp dug deeper into the earth in search of priceless gems. What they found was something sinister, darker, and eldritch. These gems are more than shiny bubbles. They are the life force of an evil eternal that has been long locked away. As the miners succumb to the horrors of the ages, will you risk entering the mines in search of survivors? This house location has been so long-standing, and we've seen all kinds of themes take up this space. I believe last year this was supposed to be like a hell-themed haunted house, and that was really interesting, but I think that the plot went over a lot of people's heads. This Lost Mines is down-to-earth and makes sense. Well, I mean, as down-to-earth as a haunted house where miners unearth evil and unleash it upon everybody as I guess it can be. But I really like this. I really like the idea, I really like the themes, and the actors inside of this house always seem like they're giving it their all every night. But now that we've talked houses and scare zones, let's touch a little bit on the shows. We have a few returning shows this year featuring Monster Stomp on Ripper Row. This modern rock and rhythm spectacular features Jack the Ripper like you've never seen him before. Phantoms of the Fest House. This isn't your typical singing contest. Join the living audience as a new lineup of your favorite ghouls take on spooky hits, and the winner is put up to vote. The more spirited the audience is, the more excited the competition is. Scarezones. The Scarezones is a thrilling show that brings traditional Halloween songs to life with a fun and spooky twist. The show features a talented cast of singer-dancers who perform a series of classic Halloween tunes, creating an eerie and exciting atmosphere that is perfect for all ages. And one brand new one in Fiends, the Frequel. Returning from a long hiatus inside his Transylvanian castle, Dr. Frankenstein wants to reintroduce himself to the world in the only way that he knows how. A Hollywood-style blockbuster about his life, with the help of his trusted psychic Igor. The Doctor invites each of his iconic fiends, Wolfman, Dracula, the Bride, and the Creature of the Black Lagoon, to join his filmmaking festival in a pop culture-centric song and dance extravaganza. And before we leave the park, we always gotta make sure we grab a candied apple and check out the merchandise, don't we? Taking a quick stop to look around in the merch store, I had to check out what kind of goodies they had for us this year, and I was not disappointed. While other Halloween events such as Halloween Horror Nights have been struggling to figure out what kind of aesthetic their park guests would want to pick up, Busch Gardens is knocking it out of the park, with a little bit of something for everybody. And I absolutely love the house shirt design this year. And look at these cute little Jack plushies, oh my goodness. So if you've been to Busch Gardens Williamsburg's Howl O Scream, let me know what you thought of it. If you've been to multiple Howl O Screams at different parks around the United States, then definitely let me know how those compared. I find it so interesting that the same IP held by similar companies can be so vastly different in the amount of effort and attention that they put into different kinds of houses. It goes without saying that in Florida they've got some big competition to keep up with, and we don't quite have that as much out here in Virginia, but I feel like that's no excuse to cheat anybody out. Make your event as big and bombastic and scary and beautiful as you absolutely can, and people will come from all over to check it out. Give the locals something to brag about, you know what I'm saying? But as always, if you've enjoyed this video, be sure to send it to a friend that you think might enjoy it too. Thank you so much for watching my video today. I've been Eldritch Terror, and whether your day's been going good or bad today, I hope it gets better.